Okay, so we have a working package here. Let me just demonstrate what's going on here real quick. The problem. So what's the problem we're solving here? The problem is I have a blog defined as a bunch of markdown files, as you can see here. So whenever I publish a video, I write up a markdown file and it publishes on my blog at pagekeytech.com. The problem is the code that's making this happen is very complicated and hard to edit, unfortunately. It's using MDX, that's why I can have a React component here, and it's using Next.js, which is a JavaScript framework that supports MDX pretty well, so I went with that. But I'd rather have it be bare bones. MDX has a lot of stuff that I don't feel that I need, and I'd love to have control on exactly what's happening from start to finish with this stuff. Um, I have tried, as you'll see in the next few videos that I'm going to put in here, to get this to work with JavaScript, but I've found working with MDX and React and all that stuff very difficult to get started with. So instead, less than 100 lines, less than 50 lines of Python code, and we get this result. So here's what we do. We do we do markdown sitegen and pass my blog directory, and then we get a build folder, and the build folder it's a one-to-one, an HTML file for all of these. Now, obviously, this isn't very helpful, but it's a start, and you can see that we're actually using the front matter package as well to get that front matter data, which it ignores when it renders. Two packages here. The markdown package renders the HTML. The front matter package grabs that front matter that you see up here. So I think we can combine this with Jinja 2 templates to make a very straightforward blog website where you can trace exactly what's happening from start to finish. And as an added bonus, I would really love to separate the structure of the folders in my blog here from the posts themselves and how they get represented on the internet. So I would love to add to the front matter something like path or slug or something like that and do slash blog slash find my post. That would be great because then I can organize these however is easiest for me and it won't affect the permanent links that people are referencing online. So if I get too many of something in one folder, or in this case, I would really love to have everything be ordered, numbered posts, but I don't want to go break all of the old links. So that's what's next. And this is what's now. So this is all we've got for now. But I think this can do the job. We'll have to see in future videos. But I hope you enjoy the next couple clips, which will be me trying to make this happen and failing pretty miserably in JavaScript. Eventually, we come around and you end up with this as the final result. So not holding any cards up my sleeve. You can see the final result here. This is as far as we get. Now enjoy the next few videos, which will be the process of figuring out how to get to this point. Either way, thanks for watching. So let's take a look at this tool that I have called sitegen. Back in November, I believe it was this year, you can see, 2022. I started at like 11:30 at night and continued until like 12, almost 1 in the morning, and I was just coding away at this thing because I had an idea to create sitegen. So it is to generate sites for PageKey, and this was intended to be an internal tool to PageKey Tech, but I think it could serve some public use. So basically, it's written in Node, and I think it's terrible. I spent a long time trying to figure out, well, a long time, only a couple hours, trying to figure out how to use React along with static site generation, which turned out to be kind of hard for me. So here's a CLI, and it does successfully generate an output from React. So I think actually if I do sitegen test/sample, it might work. Oi. Okay, and what is the build folder? Oh, the build folder does contain an index file. And there you go. It does actually produce an output. So if you wanted to define your whole site as React in this way, this could be a way to generate static sites. But I don't really like that anymore. And I actually do need something like this, but I'm just going to throw this on a branch. Let's call this React sitegen. Okay, and then we'll push. Oh, I have to publish this to GitHub. Either way, stay tuned. We're about to rewrite this probably in Python. Okay, I checked out the master branch as an orphan and pushed it, and we're good to go. So we have the old React prototype stored on a branch, and we're good to go. Let's get into it. I'm going to copy some files from our plaintext DAW project to get this started as a Python project. Here we go. We have a setup.py, we have CLI entry point, and we can type after we pip install -e dot, which I already did, you can type markdown-sitegen and get hello world. So we're all hooked up. Let's try making something useful. Okay, Joy, I found a way to iterate and gather all the markdown files, but I have a big problem here. I realized that there's no Python support for MDX, and the blog that I'm rendering uses MDX. So let's go back to what I was working on before with Node.js and scrap this whole thing. Oh well. So I don't really like that it requires you to have a config file, especially because the example one that I have here has basically nothing in it. I think I'd rather just have it be opinionated and basically do the best it can. And if you want to provide a config file and try to change stuff later, we can make it less opinionated and able to handle more inputs that are different. But for now, it's going to have a hard-coded style that comes out of the box, and we can worry about a config file later. My MVP I'm shooting for here is you pass it the directory, it finds all the markdown files and generates an HTML file for every single one of them, and some kind of index page, some kind of archive page, so that eventually I can change over PageKeyTech.com to use this instead of what's there. Okay, so I have to run, but I wrote half of a function that we need. Um, let's see. It defines a function that will soon be recursive, where it goes through the content directory that you provide, you pass an empty list, and it populates the list, and we print it at the end. And whoa, that's where we're going to have the recursive call. Otherwise, if it finds a file that ends in .md, it says it found one and adds it to the list. So right now we're getting some of the posts, but to get all of them, we need to add a recursive call right here. I have to stop for right now. When I come back to this later, we'll do this. We'll go for it. In case you were curious how far this got before I gave up on the JavaScript side, I was battling imports and everything. I switched it over to an ES6 module, blah, 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 blah. Here's the function that gathers all the markdown paths, the handler function, and I guess it passes the array by reference because I don't have to return anything. It just works this way. But it's whatever. It's just a recursive call if it's a directory. If it ends in MD and it's a file, then push it. And big whoop. So here's where we go through each of those files that we gathered, read them, and then attempt to evaluate using MDX into, I guess, a React thing. And then from the React thing, somehow you have to get it into a file as HTML. Ugh, it's just a mess. I don't want to deal with this because I can't stand it. Babel, you have to deal with all these JavaScript loaders and everything, so I don't understand it. Um, I'm not good enough at JavaScript, I guess, to decipher all this. I'd rather just stick with Python because it's simple and it works. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of it. And yeah, we'll continue this project soon.